Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jeff Wallace here, and welcome to another episode of Chasing Elephants. I am here in our SLU Orlando studio, excited to record our podcast for this week, but also, admittedly, I'm a little jealous right now because my partner in crime, my brother, Dr. Brent Crow, PhD, the brilliant man himself, he is currently in New Zealand with his daughter, Karis. They're having an incredible father-son experience and excursion. And so, man, I can't wait for him to get back and share all of the amazing stories and adventures that they had there together in New Zealand. And I'll just say, just as a side note, before we jump into our time together and the topic that we're going to talk about, man, what we always love as fathers is to have incredible experiences for our children, especially as they're getting older. If you are a parent out there and your children are, let's say 15, 16 and older, I mean, let's just be honest, the gifts, they get kind of expensive, but also it's kind of, few and far in between of what your kids want. I remember when my wife and I, we lived, at Walmart and, or back in the day, oh gosh, that whole back in the day thing just always gets me. But we would go to Toys R Us. We lived in Toys R Us. And so, we were buying gifts and all that stuff from Toys R Us. And we would buy all of these gifts for our boys, and they would only pick two or even one that they would play with. It really would frustrate me, but that's a side note. But as our children got older, Brent and I, we actually talked about this, about how we love giving experiences to our children. So instead of gifts, there's just different experiences. And so this is an experience that Chris and Brent are gifting to their daughter, Karis. So shout out to them as they're doing that, and he'll be back with us. But also, I want you guys, to pray for our Lift Tour SoCal this weekend. Actually, we are officially concluding our Lift 23 Awaken tour. I know we've been talking about Lift 24, which I'll actually mention something about that here in a minute, but we're actually officially concluding our Lift 23 tour this weekend in Southern California at Orchard Church there. And it's an incredible, we're excited about this incredible partnership that we have with our friends from the California Baptist Convention, the CSBC. So shout out to the CSBC. Thank you for your partnership. So please be praying for our team and our students there in SoCal as they hear the gospel there. But also as we are, because, we love to stay busy here at SLU. But as we are in the midst of kicking off our Lift SoCal event, we're also today, for those of you who are planning to be with us for our Inverse year, our Lift 2024, today, November 10th, today is the last day for you to register to get the early bird registration cost and fee. Now, listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that you are with me on this. I know, because I served as a student pastor for 20 years. I know that we have a tendency and a propensity to always be last minute. But here is the thing. If you want to really impress your lead pastor or senior pastor, if you want to impress your finance director or finance leader, save the church some money. So why not, even if you don't know the names of the students or who you're taking, man, I would just say, just buy today at least 25 or 50 registrations to catch this best rate, our early bird rate there, because after today, the 10th, the price goes up on the 11th. So we are so excited about our Lift Inverse theme and Lift Tour 2024. It's going to be an incredible tour, and we're excited about that. Well, obviously, today is a very special day. Today is a day that's really special, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart. And I'll share why more in depth here in a moment. But today is our Veterans Day. It kicks off our Veterans Day weekend. And so today, what I thought would be great, while my brothers there, having an amazing trip with his daughter in New Zealand, and just have a time to reflect as we're preparing for Live SoCal, and in the midst of taking calls and registrations for our last day of before our early bird registration fee concludes. I thought I'd take a moment and just pause and just honor our veterans. This is Veterans Day weekend, and so today is really about how do we celebrate the many brave men and women who have sacrificed their lives and dedicated their lives to public service. And first and foremost, let me just say to all of our veterans, thank you. On behalf of all of us as citizens here in the United States, thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for all that you've done to ensure that people like myself and Brent and all of our churches that we get to minister to, and our Christian schools, and just everyone that we come in contact with, that we get an opportunity to live in a free country. We get an opportunity to experience certain freedoms and liberties because of your dedication and your sacrifice. So thank you. I really feel honestly that the word thank you is not adequate enough to express our gratitude and how much we're truly indebted to all of you brave men and women. So I just wanted to take a moment for our listeners to talk about how can we celebrate our veterans. And so, my brother Brian and I, who I'm excited, man, listen, you definitely want to tune in next week. We got a special episode with our very own creative director, Brian Martinez. So that's going to be fun. But we were talking about just Veterans Day and everything. And he was talking about how, man, he got a chance to do an event for the veterans. And I'll let him share that with you next week. But then I also began to think about my own family. And I actually, guys, I have a heavy military family. I was one who, if I'm being honest, I thought about going into the military, but what happened for me, my brother, who's my hero, I love my brother, Greg Wallace Jr., who is retired military. He was a hospital corpsman. He actually got a chance to serve in the Navy, the Marines, and he retired in the Army branch. It had a lot of different tours that he did, and so he was a medic, and he kind of navigated from various branches of the military. But just, man, he's such a hero of mine. If I'm being honest, there's stories that he shares, and then there's things that he just doesn't want to share, and I respect that and understand that. And the brother that left us when he enlisted at 17, my mom and dad actually, fun fact, my mom and dad had to actually sign a waiver or authorization or something because he wasn't 18 and he wanted to go into the military. He graduated from high school a year early. And so my mom and dad, they actually had to sign a little waiver. And my mom didn't want to do it. She did not want to send her baby, her firstborn, to the military. But my dad and my brother, through a lot of prayer and conversations, convinced her that this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to give his life to service. And so, but if I'm being honest, and he would share this if he was sitting across from me right now, the brother that left at 17 was not the one that came home. And I watched him go through a lot of challenges and struggles post military, and so my heart goes out to all the veterans who do have different challenges that they deal with or endure as they retire or discharge out of the military. So I just wanted to just kind of talk about our veterans. And then, like I said, the veterans are near and dear to my heart. We have a lot in our family. But for me, I remember my brother, he actually, when he enlisted in the Navy, and he graduated from the Naval Academy in San Diego. And he would share the story about how my mom, who's my mother, if anyone knows my mom is 100% mama bear. And when I was in college, she tried to schedule several parent teacher conferences with my professors. But when my brother was in the military, he was in boot camp or in basic training, and she didn't hear from him. And so she called to the naval base. And for those of you who have been in the military, you know what I'm about to say. For you as a person who's in there, that's not a good thing. But my mom, she hadn't heard from her baby, and so she's calling the naval base there all around, trying to talk to her baby, and so finally, after a lot of persistence, she gets my brother, and my brother. He's on the phone, and he would tell the story like he was like so embarrassed and so upset with my mom, because like, Mom, you can't do that. Like, I'm going to get in trouble, and so she didn't care. My mom didn't care. She just wanted to hear her baby's voice. And so shout out to all the moms who understand that as well. And so he would later tell the story that after that, he was named Mama's Boy. Like, that was his name, and he had to run a little extra, do a few more push-ups, a few more, exercises, because they were trying to prepare the Mama's Boy for battle. And so that was something. But also, I actually, my brother is 7 years older than me, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps until I got a chance to go to San Diego for his graduation. And we were eating dinner with some of his buddies that were in boot camp with him, and they just started sharing boot camp war stories and of just some of the challenges there. And I'll never forget, I was in the 6th grade at the time, and I remember hearing the intensity of boot camp. And I remember saying to myself then, I don't know what I'm going to do in life, but one thing I do know is I don't have the courage or the ability to sign up for the military. So I have much respect for all of you who have enlisted and you conquered and all that stuff. I said, nope, I'm going to go to college and do that. So that's my military story, and how it's Veterans Day for me is so personal. So what I thought I would do today is, and we'll have these in our show notes for you, but I wanted to write 6 ways I think would be ideal or great for us to celebrate the many men and women who have given their lives for our country, those who are obviously still alive. And then in these 6 ways, there's some ways that we can also celebrate those who lost their lives in combat or in war or just during their journey there in the military. So 6 ways. If you're driving, don't worry. Like I said, we're going to have these show notes, but if you're listening and you want to write this down, this would be great. Just 6 little nuggets, nothing that's really earth-shattering. So I want to prepare you right now as you are listening. Like, I'm not about to, do anything really earth-shattering. I reserve and wait for us to share earth-shattering, just deep wisdom moments with my brother Brent here. He's the wise one of the two of us. So, but 6 things. Number 1, maybe consider writing a letter, postcard, or email to a veteran. Not just one who's in your family, but one who's in your church or your school or whatnot. Just a thank you. Just thank you for your service. And, it doesn't have to be anything deep or long, but just maybe consider just doing just dropping a quick little note to a veteran that and just say, hey, thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication. Because of your sacrifice, I'm able to stand, live, enjoy, have certain benefits in life because of your sacrifice and dedication. So the first thing I would suggest, that if you want to celebrate one of our veterans or some of our veterans, is maybe write a note there. Or maybe if you are a youth pastor student pastor, children's pastor, whatnot, maybe you have your students write some notes and then present that to some of the veterans that are in your church. And so I think it'll just be a great and cool gesture for us to just write just a simple letter, postcard, or email. I'm sure many of our veterans would love that. Number two, the second thing that we can do is maybe you would consider donating to a veteran-focused charity. Pretty much every major city, and especially military towns, there's some type of veteran-focused charity that's there that maybe you'll consider donating to this year. And just if it is to helping assimilate veterans back into society, or helping veterans who have certain medical needs or physical needs or whatever. So I would do a little research in your area and try to see if you can find a couple of places where you can just donate. And it doesn't have to be a big donation, but because every donation matters, right? And so big or small, but maybe you'll consider to do that. All right. Another thing that I want to share with you, 3 and 4 are kind of a little bit in depth. So I think number 3, if you have a flag and you're flying your flag, make sure that you are flying your flag correctly. And actually, I had to do a little research on this because I wanted to kind of see, all right, what does it mean to fly correctly? How do you fly your flag correctly? And so a couple things that I learned. Number 1 in this, if you're going to fly your flag correctly, never drag a U.S. flag on the ground or let it touch the ground. There is some symbolism that comes with that. And so as we understand the significance of our flag and what it means, and the honor, the sacrifice. We want to make sure that if you have a flag, don't ever let it hit the ground. Don't ever drag it. Make sure that you care for this flag, hold this flag in a very symbolic and honoring way. You think about whenever some of our veterans who go on to be with Jesus, the family is presented with the flag. You have the flag that is folded to, we have some servicemen and women who fold the flag, and you notice how they present the flag. The flag is in both hands, and it's really in a very honoring way that they present that flag to the family. So don't drag the flag. Number 2 of that, don't drape it over the hood, top, or sides, or the back of your vehicle. I didn't know that. I think some of us, we'll have flag signs that are out the window, and that's not what that means. But just, again, the symbolism of it. So you don't want to drape your flag over your car. Like, you don't want to just kind of have it on the side of your car. Like, like it's some way of draping your car. No. You want to make sure that especially during this time, that you want to have the flag in a very prominent position, a prominent place. And so you don't want to drag it over the hood of your car in any way, shape, or fashion. Another thing to know about how to fly the flag correctly is don't display the U.S. flag above any other, don't display the U.S. flag above any other flag, and keep it at the center when it's surrounded by other flags. So let me kind of walk you through this visually. So what you want to do is, if you are you have multiple flags in your home or someplace, you want, during Veterans Day, you want to make sure that the U.S. flag is in the center of other flags that you have. So you want to make sure that is right smack in the center. And if you have a flag pole, you don't want to have any other you don't want to have another flag over another flag. And so the U.S. flag needs to make sure that it is on a pole by itself. You don't want to have it over another flag, but it needs to be singular flag on one pole, but also in the center of other flags. I didn't know that either. That was kind of cool to hear and to see. Another thing is, you don't want to display a torn flag. And so we want to make sure that if we're displaying a U.S. flag, make sure that it's not torn or tattered in any way. any flags, many suggest that many flags that are tattered and torn should be disposed of in a respectful way. And so you want to make sure that, if you're flying a flag, that it is a flag that is completely put together. Why? That symbolizes how together we should be as a country, the United States of America. So we don't ever want to post or to fly a tattered or torn flag, because we as a country, though we understand that there are some things internally that we're fractured in and we're dealing with, but as a country as a whole, in the eyes of the rest of the world, we should always stand united and as one. And so a torn and tattered flag symbolizes unfortunately, like fracture within our country. And so you want to make sure that if you have a tattered or torn flag, you want to just kind of dispose of that respectfully, and you want to fly a flag that is together. And so those are just a couple things we talk about how to, if you're this day or this weekend, you're flying a U.S. flag, just a couple of little nuggets that are there for you. Just I thought was cool with just doing a little research on that. So number one, write a letter. Number two, consider donating to a veteran-focused charity. And number three, we talked about how to fly the flag correctly. So you want to make sure you're flying it correctly. Number four is maybe if you know a veteran, maybe you will engage a veteran about their service. And so maybe you'll have a time where you'll grab a coffee or something with a veteran that and say, hey, I'd love to just spend some time with you and ask you some questions that you feel comfortable with. Make sure you specify that, things that you feel comfortable sharing about your service. And maybe you'll ask some questions like, what did you do in the military? Like, what branch were you a part of? What job did you have? Again, my brother, he was a hospital corpsman for the military. Then maybe you'll ask something like, how long did you serve? What was your favorite moment in all of your time in the service? Did anyone else in your family serve? Or why did you go into that specific branch of service? Like, why did you, go into the Army? Why'd you go in the Navy, Marines, Air Force? And so maybe you'll ask that. I would caution, and especially students, this is for you as you may have an opportunity to interview one of your veterans. I would caution you please do not ask a veteran if they killed anyone. I think that's really inappropriate and insensitive, and especially if those who were in heavy combat, you just don't want to trigger anything. You don't want there to be a moment where they kind of go back to a very dark or bad place there. And so many veterans, they may feel like those types of questions, like, did you kill somebody? What are some of the gory or gruesome details? Like, please don't ask any of that, because many of the veterans, they may feel like that's kind of intrusive. And again, they don't really want to talk about that. I've learned that even with my brother. He, I don't ask any questions. I mean, I let him volunteer certain things that he wants to share. But you want to make sure that you're asking just some fun loving lighthearted questions to the veterans. And so you want to maybe take a veteran out and grab coffee or lunch or dinner or something like that. Number five, maybe you go visit a VA hospital. I know in Atlanta, I remember so many times when my brother, he got back home, and I would take him to the VA hospital, and he would be there for a while, and we would just sit. And I remember so many moments being in a VA hospital. My heart just broke as you saw all of these men and women who have various needs and struggles and stuff. And you're like, man, what they willingly took their bodies and minds through for us. I mean, it breaks your heart, but also it should should intensify the gratitude that you have for what they endured and did for us. And so maybe number 5, you will consider going during this weekend and just visiting the hospital. And I would suggest if you do that, maybe you call ahead of time and just say, hey, I'm from this church, from this school, and myself and some students, or myself and a few others, or just myself, we love to come up and visit and just, maybe volunteer, be there. Is there something that we can do? Is there a day or a time that is best? So don't just show up. So let me just say that. Don't just pop up like, hey, I'm here, veterans, let me talk to you. No, I would check first just to make sure that that's okay. And then finally, just a little nugget there. I think about how do we celebrate Veterans Day, and this probably could have been number 1, but finally I would say, because many people do this, you'll be surprised, don't confuse Veterans Day with Memorial Day. All right, so Veterans Day and Memorial Day, a lot of people, you'll be surprised, kind of think they're one and the same. But Veterans Day is a time to thank those who are serving or have served or are and are still with us. So this is a time for us to say thank you to those who are serving, those who have served, and those who are still with us. So we're saying thank you for your service. But Memorial Day is a time to reflect and remember those who lost their lives in the service for their country. And so confusing or combining these two really diminish, in my humble opinion, the importance of both. And so you think about memorializing, remembering. And so that's what Memorial Day is. We remember those who we've lost. Veterans Day is we celebrate and we thank those who are still with us that are serving. So I think it's important just to note, hey, two different things. Let's be very present in both days, because I think both Memorial and Veterans Day are so important and so significant to our country's history and even our present day time that we're living in right now. And so just a couple nuggets. I just felt like as we are in this holiday season, we'll just pause for the cause. And I just wanted to share a couple of just quick little nuggets there with you. So again, thank you to all of the many veterans that are out there. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for your dedication to the betterment of our country. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is my time today. I'm excited that I had a chance to hang out, and this particular topic, again, is near and dear to my heart. And so, as always, we would love for you to follow us at SLU Lead. That's at SLU Lead. You can follow me at I am Jeff Wallace. That's at I am Jeff Wallace. And you can follow my brother Brent. I'm sure he'll be posting some pictures there in New Zealand at Brent A. Crow. That's again, Brent A. Crow. And as always, guys, we would love to continue to get the word out about our podcast. Man, it's been so cool traveling around the country and hearing people say, man, I loved our your Chasing Elephant podcast. I listened to this, and what did you mean by this? And I remember you said that, and and so thank you to all of those who are our listeners, but also for those of you who are listeners, maybe you would share this podcast with some friends, co-workers, co-laborers in ministry, and we'd love for you to share a review and like and subscribe, all of those things. You know what to do. There are culture and technology evolve so much. Every day is different. So, but whatever you can do to get the word out about our podcast, we would love that. That's my time today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, do everything that you can and every moment that you have to live with a spirit of intentionality as you're trying to be the best version of yourself. Until next week, we'll see you. God bless.